Okay, good afternoon and welcome to 802 Scoop, live from 185 North Main Street in Barrie. It's a sunny, nice day, kind of, if you can deal with the wind, right? At least the sun is shining. That's all I care,
It's
really.
not snowing.
Right,
That's
it's not
the positive
snowing.
right there.
Not snowing, it's not pouring buckets. It's a pretty decent day, really, considering
Yeah.
for spring especially. So get out and enjoy it while you can, if you can. Lots going on for the weekend, different events. One of the big events this weekend is the pie breakfast up at the Berlin Fire Department. And if you've never been, you really should. It's one of their biggest and best fundraisers all year long. And it's any kind of pie you can imagine, you know, like fruit pies, cream pies, pizza pie, shepherd's pie. If it says pie, it's up there. And they sell them, they auction them, and it's a huge fundraiser. It's a lot of fun. It starts at 9:30, and that is right up at the Berlin Fire Department. So if you have nothing to do this weekend and you're hungry, go on up, 9:30.
Oh.
But a bunch of other stuff too. There's a lot of events, different things happening, springtime stuff. There's a mud fest in Montpelier. There's a big hog sale at Wilkins. Just different events like that and craft fairs. And of course, we know basketball in some leagues is still happening. I see
Right.
that Williamstown is playing tonight. And there are some games scheduled for the weekend, though the AAU stuff is all done.
No, it's still AAU. It's just
not that
the
division.
local AAU. The one that we go to is Granite City Blast, and they do a short season.
Oh, they do a
because
short
Granite
season.
City Blast also works with Barrie Community Baseball, and baseball's starting right now. It's
Nice.
one thing right after another.
Of
you know?
course. And in 2 weeks, we'll be doing a little fundraiser over at Tasty Bites on the 9th, I believe. Yes, May
Yes.
9th. We'll be over at Tasty Bites for the Michael and a Mission. And all the proceeds from the tips that morning, 7 to 9, go to the Barrie City Community or Barrie Community
Yeah.
Baseball, softball, and then of course the treasure box stays all month long too. So that'll be a lot of fun. But check out the page. There's a lot of stuff listed, and we're growing. We're at 14,000 followers, just over that, just over 14.1 actually, 2.7 million views in the last 28 days, which is super exciting. And so check it out. Share with your friends. Invite people to join us. So now, I know you're all here for a certain reason, so I'm going to turn it over now. And joining us is the project manager for the state of Vermont, at least this area or district, or maybe or the entire state, you'll tell us, but Doug Bonneau.
Correct.
And so thanks for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate having you.
Just as a correction, I'm the construction engineer for the state of Vermont.
Construction engineer. Nice. When I look you up, you have to fix that because it doesn't say that.
Okay.
You better fix that. But no, that's awesome. And everybody wants to know what's going on for projects this summer. And so you tell us, first introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, what you do.
Sure.
And then we'll jump into what's going on.
Sure. So just briefly, I'm Doug Bonneau, the construction engineer for the state of Vermont. I've been working for the state for just past 25 years now. Live in north central Vermont, up in Lowell. I've been in Vermont all my life, and went to UVM with a bachelor's degree in professional engineer. And started in bridge design and then moved to construction. And so now I'm in charge of the construction program for the state of Vermont. So we're divided into three regions. So I have a regional engineer for each of the 3 regions, and they have staff that administer the construction projects. And we spend the year administering the program, all the construction projects that are the ones that are mostly federal aid projects where there's federal dollars involved. Not so much the municipal program. Those tend to be smaller, and they're administered locally or by design consultants that are hired directly by the towns. But we do most of the state highway stuff, the interstates, railroads, bike ped stuff. Yeah, there's a lot
Nice.
going on.
Always is. And 'tis the season.
It is.
Is it fully in swing now, or are we still waiting for different plants and stuff to open?
So the paving plants are usually, they wait for the warmer weather a little bit. We've recently, in the last year, changed the official construction season from April 15th. It used to be April 15th to December 1st, and just with the changing weather patterns and sort of historic practice, we've moved the official construction season to April 1 to November 15. So we're technically in construction season, and all the contractors with contracts are anxious to get going. So every year it's sort of like we're excited to get going, and just got to get through the administrative process of seeing what their plans are and getting their notice to proceed to officially start the contract work. And
I did see the first AOT road construction report. You guys always, that gets posted every week, Monday morning, or sometimes Sunday evening, but I always share it every Monday morning because it's good to know where there's going to be a detour or what's going on. And
Absolutely.
that is always really updated. It's well done and explains really well
Right.
of what you're all up to that
And
week.
the timing for this interview actually is nice because this is National Work Zone Awareness Week.
Yes.
Nationally.
Oh,
So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just get the word out there for everyone. Be careful going through our work zones and
Follow the speed,
follow the speed limit.
follow
for
the
sure.
sign.
We certainly have some enforcement activities going on, which helps to remind people of the importance of being careful through our work zones.
Move over and pretend
Move
that
over,
your loved
absolutely.
one is out there working.
Our
Yeah.
good friends at Washington County Sheriff's Department will be out there.
Yep.
Yes, for sure.
DMV has come on board last year with their commercial vehicle enforcement to also aid the state police in our work zones as well. More so up on the interstates and stuff, but wherever we have the enforcement dollars included in the contracts, they're another resource for us. So it's been good. Yeah.
Now, when you have someone like, I think it's like Hutchins, and there's a couple others that bid out jobs, Pike, do they handle their own flaggers, or is that?
They subcontract
Yeah.
generally. Most of the contractors all subcontract
Yeah.
the flaggers through the 3 or 4 major companies that operate.
And
around the
then
state.
the enforcement crews, like I said, the deputy sheriffs, state police, and they designate a cruiser to that site.
And so they're there to provide like a blue light presence.
Yeah.
The enforcement detail is a separate program where they're actually out there monitoring speeds.
Yeah.
And it's double the fine.
It is.
I think it should be quadruple,
There you go.
really. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I was in a situation, I think it was when you all were doing Route 2. And I always stop way before the flagger. If I see a flagger, I always stop way before because I'm afraid that if I get rear-ended, I'm going to get pushed into the flagger.
Right.
Well, the guy behind me was so pissed off. He got out of his car. Wrong person to do this to. But he got out of his car and he knocked on my window and he wanted to know, what the fuck my problem was that I'm way back there. And, yeah, I told him.
You explain it to him nicely.
Yeah, well, not nicely, but I did explain it to him. It was very clear information, and he understood me very well and got back in his car. But it's scary.
It
It's
is.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've actually we've lost a family member to an accident that happened on the interstate. He was flagging and was killed up in the Burlington area.
Yep.
Yeah. So, not good. Not good at all. So what do you have? There's got to be one big project. Like,
Oh, there's many big projects
Yeah.
around the state. The Quechee Gorge Bridge is
Oh, yeah.
obviously one of the signature bridges in the state that's
Mhm.
wrapping up this season. They're about ready to pour the deck on the second side of the bridge. So it's one-way alternating. That's scheduled to be wrapped up in the middle of this season. So it'd be great to get that back open to the tourists and two-way traffic.
Mhm.
Reedsboro, way down in southern Vermont, has a giant town highway bridge that is pretty impressive. I know it's not on your way to many places, but if you're ever down that way, it's a big bridge. Pretty impressive to see. The Divergent Diamond up to
Mhm.
Colchester
Mhm.
is a major project
Mhm.
that's will be going
now,
again
what
this
is
year.
that?
So that is an alternative method of traffic
Merging.
Traffic merging.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What it does is it reduces the number of conflict points as you're approaching or either want to enter or exit a throughway.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be the first one in the state of Vermont, obviously, and the bulk majority of that. We did a bunch of the prep work last year, some of the utility moving and stuff like that. This year will be the major bulk of that project as far as getting the new traffic pattern put in, and it'll be pretty interesting.
And people are still getting used to the roundabouts that are popping up all over, which I love the roundabouts.
I do too.
But so now
I
here's
shake my head
something new.
sometimes when I get into a roundabout and people are still
Yeah.
how can you be confused? Some people.
Yeah,
it's
they really
surprising.
are. It's scary sometimes. Yeah, the jam on the brake and
Yeah, they don't realize they have the right of way when they're in the roundabout,
yeah. So,
right?
whatever.
So locally, 14 this year from Barry to East Montpelier. It's about a 4-mile stretch. It'll be milled and paved,
Mhm.
which is nice.
Yeah.
And 2 rail crossings. One-
The South
Yes.
Main Street.
South Main
and
Street,
Hill Street.
Corey Hill, or
Yeah, well,
Yeah, Corey
Corey Hill,
I call
that's
it-
right, they're not doing Hill Street yet.
No.
I think they start working for the
Probably.
Corey Hill crossing.
They
Yeah.
probably have, yeah. So those 2 rail crossings will be upgraded. So I think those are the 3 projects that are immediately local to Barrie that'll be under construction this season.
Mm-hmm. Giving a little bit of traffic snarl, but there are many ways around Route 14.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people can find some detours. Do you know when that's going to start? About
Which
the Route 14?
that'll be probably the end of May, I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
roughly. The paving, they may be out there a little bit earlier than that to start milling, but the paving plants really don't get going until, around May,
Yep.
middle of May.
Yep. Now, what about other paving projects across the state? Are there any big, long stretches?
Yeah, Colchester, Swanton, there's a major I-89
Mm-hmm.
project. I won't get the project, the town names right, but out here on I-89 Brookfield, there's another major stretch of that being paved.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think. There just probably others there.
Right, there
I see that.
and probably lots of them,
Yeah.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
because there's little ones and
None of those big bridge projects over 89 like we've had the last couple of years there.
So in Royalton, there's the other bridge in down by the Bethel exit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Technically Royalton. That bridge will be under construction for another couple of seasons. We just moved over,
Mhm.
so the other bridge is being redone now. So the next couple of seasons that'll be in a
Yeah.
altered traffic pattern.
Now, is it the state doing the bridges on Route 2, or is that town stuff in Marshfield, in the Marshfield area? There's 2 bridges there being done. One of them is
They're
by
on
the
routes.
campground, so that might be town. But then there's another right on Route 2, just before you get into Marshfield on the right. We had to stop. There's traffic lights set up for it
Oh,
and
the
everything.
bridges, yeah, those are the bridges that feed those properties, the campground.
So
underground
those are
campground,
towns.
And then the private farmhouse a little further north.
So
of
those
that.
are not
No,
included.
they're just, they cross that Onion River, I guess is what it's called. Those, and they just go, one serves
The little town
a
highway
house.
bridges or private bridges?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So let's jump into how do you figure out what you're going to accomplish in a season?
Well, from my perspective, in my seat, it's really easy because I administer the projects that are advertised for construction.
Mm-hmm.
So the other bureaus, the asset management and project delivery, they create the projects, plan the projects, and deliver them to construction or for us to advertise and put on the street for contractors to bid.
Mm-hmm.
So what my team accomplishes from year to year is trying to meet the contract completion dates, administer all the construction projects that are out there, and
Keep everything moving.
keep everything moving, everybody safe, and
So, but you all work within a budget.
absolutely.
All of this stuff is within a budget,
It'll cost money. for sure.
and lots of it. I can imagine that replacing a whole huge bridge or even putting in the diamond is not a few bucks.
It's millions, tens of millions for the bigger projects.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
So something like, the last couple summers, it's Route 2 or 302 that goes to Groton.
Right, yep.
Now, that was done in like sections. One year they went so far and then the next
Right.
year. Do you
The
know?
Route 2, you talking about Route 2 that goes out towards Danville?
No.
Route 302 that goes to Groton.
To Groton, yeah,
Paving projects?
yeah, yeah.
Those are,
As they do it, like, they did one section 2 years ago, then last year they did another section. But I think there's a spot in the middle that either maybe they felt it didn't need to be redone, or,
could be gapped out for some
Yeah.
reason. Yeah, I'm not familiar with why they would have gapped that out, or if it
Yeah.
was two different projects. Yeah.
but you guys have projects that span, more than a year.
Yeah.
like more than one season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
many of those larger projects that we talk about, the Reedsboro Bridge that I mentioned, the Royalton Bridge is, 3 or 4 years
Mhm.
because there's two bridges. The Divergent Diamonds, 2 or 3 years. Many of those large, the projects that run,
Yeah,
10 to 30 million, those size projects, they'll run for 2 or 3
Yeah.
seasons.
And
So-
definitely the paving on Route 2 took a couple of years, but that was a huge job, and
Yeah.
that was a lot of miles and
Right.
widening of the road, and which is absolutely amazing now. I love that drive now. For many, many years, I hated it. It was, especially in the winter, it was treacherous, and now there's room to move and definitely much smoother go for sure.
Yeah, and those types of reclaim projects, we go in and you try to improve the engineered road itself, improve
Mm-hmm.
the drainage. They're obviously a lot more costly, but you chunk them up
Yeah.
into 5-mile
So
sections or
I
whatever you
noticed,
can do each season.
yeah, because I go to Danville a lot, have a camp out that way, and when they were doing that Route 2 project, they did a lot of culvert work in there
Oh, yeah.
too.
Yep, a lot of the drainage, new under drain, trying to keep the
Yeah.
water as the enemy, right, in a road,
Mhm.
so improve the drainage,
Mhm.
larger cross pipes and boxes, whatever they happen to be, and you take whatever section of road you can accomplish in a season or two, or by contract, and that Cabot Danville job has been
Yeah.
multiple years,
Yeah.
different contracts, but
Yeah, we've definitely had our share of water, that's for sure,
yeah.
which can't help the cause any, and the lag in some of the projects. Some things have to be put back on the back burner, and some of those things are budget, and some of them are just plain weather, I'm assuming.
It is, yeah, it's a combination of all those things, where
Right.
some of the historic flooding we've seen, that then you start just getting into FEMA dollars and those types of projects, and
When you think back to when Irene went through, that must have set projects back 2 or 3 years at least.
I'm sure it did. I wouldn't know real numbers, but a weird way of looking at that is the Irene, in retrospect, the Irene event really allowed us to invest a lot in our bridges and culverts,
Yeah.
and we spent a lot of money in those 10 years following Irene,
Yeah.
really bringing the bridges and culverts up to up to snuff, and it bears, you know, when you look at sort of the New England region, we fare pretty well with our bridges and our culverts and that infrastructure. Now the paving side of the house is, you know, is a little bit of a different story. You know, more investment is needed, as everybody witnesses in that side of the program. But the one good thing that came from Irene was the amount of investment that, you know, those federal dollars that really we were able to upgrade a lot of bridges. You know.
And probably the thought process changed a little bit of what's underneath and how are you going to upgrade so that you're not as cut off as you were during Irene. I know that, I mean, there was significant damage 23, 24, but nothing like that. Nothing like where there were literally communities shut right down. You couldn't even get to them.
Correct, and a lot of those structures that we replaced, we took a look at the size of the structures we were replacing and said, you know, the amount of water we need to pass is changing as time moves forward, right? So the hydraulic analysis for a lot of those structures became pretty evident that, you know, we needed larger structures, and I think that some of the events we've had since then, we've really fared pretty well with all of those structures that we've replaced. That they really can pass the water. Obviously, the downside of that is when you're not building those with emergency or FEMA 100% federal money, they cost a lot.
Yeah.
They cost a lot of money in a regular program.
Which in turn costs the taxpayers. And
Absolutely.
so as much as we bitch and complain and beat the drum that we want it all done and we want it done right now because we're sick of driving on these roads and not going to inspect the cars, whatever, it's still, the bottom line is that if that's the way you feel, you got to be willing to open your wallet, and that's it. To do everyththing that needs to be done you would need a really, really, really big wallet.
It's true, and we have a pretty tough environment up here, as everybody understands, right? So we don't drive on all engineered roads. They're pathways that have been improved from historic times, you know, to something with an asphalt overlay that really, you know, if it was done from scratch nowadays, would be built differently.
Now, what determines that? What determines whether you dig it all the way down and start from scratch, or if you're just doing the surface?
Well, it's the investment dollars, right? The use of the highway, you know, how much, you know, there's a tremendous amount of traffic that uses Route 2, you know, so if we talk about the Route 2 corridor or the Route 100 corridor from Waterbury, as you go towards Stowe, we did a reclaim on that job, you know, on that roadway half a dozen years ago with sort of the same treatment that we've done in Route 2 out here. Yeah. And so you got to weigh the use versus how much dollars you're willing to put into it.
Because a lot of the Route 2 project for the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, was basically milling and then repaving.
Portions of it were, and
Yeah.
portions of it were reclaimed where we went into the subbase and improved it. Yeah.
Now, this is my question.
Okay.
Who decided that they needed to change the paint? Like that, it just doesn't last. The lines get painted and they're gone way before the end. But I don't know where the end of the road is, where the middle of the road is, where I can pass, where I can't pass. I just do it. I say if there's no lines, I do what I want to do, right? I do whatever I want to do. I don't freaking know. But it would be nice, especially when it's raining really hard, it's really dark, like 302 to Groton, it gets really dark there, and there's no white line anymore, and it's brand new pavement, and which sometimes makes it even worse, but it's brand new pavement, brand new striping, and it's gone already.
Yeah.
But there's definitely not as much glass or reflective in it when it gets put down, and it just doesn't stay. So, and I know it was an environmental thing, but I mean, that's life safety of how long that it's going to last. Not even the crosswalks don't even last.
I hear you. So I think there is some revised federal guidelines coming down on retroreflectivity for lines. Not sure exactly when, like any rules in that regard are going to take place, but with going back to line striping, most of our lines are water-based paint.
Which is hysterical.
Well, again, it goes back to economics. We can put down durable markings
Mm-hmm.
at about 5 to 10 times the cost. And
But
there's the economics.
but they must last longer.
But not 5 to 10 times longer. That's the issue. That's the economic that you have to. That's the economics you have to weigh, right? If you have to stripe the roads all in 1 year, every year.
Yeah.
you
Put
can't
down the
get it.
tickers then. Something. Like
Yeah.
there's got to be something.
I hear you. Yeah,
Or yeah.
it's a challenge.
It is a challenge, and it's hard. It is hard to see. Even the Barry Montpelier Road, going down through there at night, it's dark down through there, and there's no center line. There's no white line on the sides. There's nothing anymore. You're literally just going at your own risk. Scary. And that is a common theme too that
Yeah.
we see people comment about, that there's
And
no
it's not
lines.
just on the roads. You go to a parking lot now, they don't last long.
It's true.
Yeah, anywhere. And the city painted all the crosswalks and
Right.
like,
Well,
it doesn't take
last-
long,
last
a
summer,
month. Yeah,
Before school started, they'd get all the crosswalks done.
in a
And then
couple
by,
months and they're gone.
October, you can't see them at all, pretty much.
No, they're pretty much gone.
So some of those places, the crosswalks and the there's opportunities there for some of the durable paints that last a little longer, I think, because it's such a small volume. But when we talk about striping roads for
And
miles
those-
and miles on end.
Right.
And those are usually municipalities that do them themselves, and they're always, on a tight budget.
Yeah.
And they're gonna buy the cheapest thing they've got.
And putting the plastic tickers down probably isn't easy either, because those are literally manually pounded in, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I remember my dad used to bring home buckets of those things when we were kids. He would bring home buckets and we would put the
Most of them are
nails in it.
well, like takedown. We don't like the nails nowadays because when they don't stick, it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I can imagine.
most of them are stuck down there, whatever type of epoxy or glue, but they don't come up very nice either. So,
But that's good. They would last longer than the paint.
but,
And they
yeah.
make that little clicking noise to kind of like, which is, that's my next question.
The ones that make it though.
The stripe, the
Rumble strip?
rumble strip.
strips, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like that noise. You like the ticker noise? Is that what you're saying?
The ticker noise I would love to have. The rumble is the rumble strip.
Yeah, I won't go there.
It depends on what speed you drive. If you're somebody who cuts corners, those things suck.
It sounds like they're effective, then you stay off of them, you try to stay off of them.
Yes,
That's what
or
I'm
go
hearing.
over them really quickly.
That's perfect.
One or the other.
Just stay on the right side a little bit better.
That's why they have those grab-on handles on the passenger side.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I can't help it. No, but in all seriousness, they're using those a lot more too, and I would assume that helps with the whole lack of center line. Even, I mean, at
They're
least
safe- I mean, it's a safety
if you have those, though, you know where to heck you gotta be.
Correct, because you can feel them in the snow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, and you're not falling asleep because those will definitely wake you up. One of my dogs is absolutely petrified if you hit it, and he's in the backseat. He's totally petrified. Scares him to death. He wants to get in your lap immediately if you hit the rumble strip. But at least those are something that stay. Those aren't going away anytime quickly. They're not going to wear off in a matter of a couple of months, and yeah.
That's correct.
So, so it's more about affordability and not environmentally, or maybe a little of both.
There might be some of both, but yeah, from my perspective, it's purely financial.
Mm-hmm.
We just can't afford to put durable markings around the whole state.
Mm-hmm.
The cost to how long they last that ratio is untenable at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Crazy that although, I say that and I worry, but at one point the roads were all dirt and
Right.
you didn't have markings.
Right.
But I don't know. Now that you get used to them, I guess, and you look for that when you're driving out through Route 302 or even Route 2 or anywhere really. Look for those lines in the city when we're here and you come up to an intersection like at the Maple Avenue, not Maple Avenue, by Cornerstone, Merchant.
Elm,
Is that Elm?
that's Elm. Yeah.
And so you come up there by Cornerstone, and there's like no markings anymore,
Yeah,
and
totally gone.
there's a couple lanes there, and nobody, if you don't live here, you don't know that there's 2 lanes there and where to go, and it just becomes a big cluster of, or that there's 3 lanes when you're coming down 302, it separates into 3 lanes. You can't tell anymore,
Right.
and so there are lights there, but. Sometimes it causes some crazy troubles. Yeah. So I do have a question that got text to us, and I don't know this answer. The hummocks in the road at the 4-way by Maple Avenue. Like, so when you're coming off 62 over onto, do you know anything about, is that
The
city or
humps?
state? The big, that you come over that and just about destroy your car. The text message says. Do you know?
The asphalt condition in that intersection as you're driving,
Yeah,
coming
like,
from
do you
62
know
across?
if there's
There's-
anything that they're going to do to repair that?
If you walk along Main Street, there's ruts all the way up to, and it wasn't compacted, before they paved, and you get a lot of heavy truck traffic up
Yeah.
through Main Street.
But this is the intersection when you're coming
I
from
know,
62
I
over
know.
onto Maple Avenue. There's like this huge hump there.
It's because of the ruts. It's not a hump, it's
Mm-hmm.
the settling that's made these ruts there. So
Mhm.
it goes like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so there is a project to mill and repave, but it's probably summer of 28.
Summer of 28.
So,
Okay.
I mean, we're in 26 now, so it's.
Right. So a couple of
Because
years.
not too long ago, it was pushed farther out than that.
Yeah,
It
so
was like.
So it's at
I
least
spoke to my
been.
boss this morning, because I suspected this might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's saying
Yeah.
summer of 28.
So it's been at least pushed back closer, a couple of years out. But that's good for people to know that it's still, yes, it's in the works, but it's going to be a couple of years as of right now. But a couple of years, you technically, I mean, you really can't promise that, because we can't promise another flood, or we can't promise that none of those things are going to come into play where you're dealing with disaster and immediate fixes as opposed to these long-time jobs. I'm assuming that because at one point it was on the list, I think, for this year.
It was 2030, not too long ago. Then
Yep.
they pulled it 2 years more in.
Yeah,
So.
and prior to that, it was even closer. I think it was supposed to maybe even be this year, but then the floods
It
happened,
flooded
and
2 years in a
and-
row of flooding.
yeah, and so the scope of the work that you all had all over the state completely changed, and it's a short construction season.
It is.
It's
And
not
it-
a year-round thing.
And it sort of goes back to what I alluded to about a predictable construction schedule, project schedule. And so, I mean, initially, when they said it was 2030, I'm not sure what priorities were, or how they arranged it, but they're really trying to make strides towards providing the taxpayers and the contractors who have been asking, like, we can provide, we can build the projects, we just want to know with some amount of certainty that what you're going to advertise, or what you're saying you're going to advertise is something pretty close to what you're putting out there.
Now, does the state have, I know the city is trying to get back on to a routine paving schedule. Do you somewhat have one of those where you say, okay, every so often this has got to be done, we got to go back here?
So we're in about a 15-year cycle on most of our state program. So ideally we'd love to go out every 10 years, because that's more of a pavement lifespan issue.
Mm-hmm.
But the harsh reality of the economics is we're about a 15-year cycle to get back to each road. And obviously there are, you know, extenuating circumstances with pavement conditions and safety and that type of stuff. But in broad strokes, we're on about a 15-year program for the state highways as far as repaving. So when we talk about like this one out here, which is a Class 1 town highway, if we pave it and it needs work, you know, at some point, you know, there needs to be some work done prior to us coming back to 15 years later if there's some local responsibility there.
Yeah,
And
it's
we
a
did
shared.
that last year or 2 years ago, because we did have
Filled some of the
the
ruts.
humps, the ruts, and people going, using the crosswalks were stumbling because it was humped right in the middle. So the state did help, and we did this section up here.
Yeah.
But now it's getting worse down, so like where Domino's is, into that intersection. Well, when we did the Christmas for Kids thing, we were out there, and it was right in front of Domino's. The road was like that.
Right, you're standing up on the center hump
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Now, if I got down in that trench, they'd never see me.
Oh, jeez. Good gracious. No, I mean, in the road on the south end it's back down to the cobblestone in some spots, and the city is obviously going to have to do some patching and hold me overs until you all come. That's like you say, it's a shared expense and shared duty, really.
Sure.
But as far as the city paving from the north end to the south end, or the south of the north, whichever you want to put it, it's not going to happen any more than, you know, you all have a project schedule, and you've set.
There's no lack of need on the city streets, right?
No.
Go around the little detour, the bridge that's up here.
Right, there's all kinds of work going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the season is short. It's a really short season. Unfortunately, we're not in a state where we can work year round, and we deal with frost heaves and all kinds of other things that other states don't necessarily need to
In the
deal with.
last couple of years, we've put into our budget, $200,000 increase in our paving projects. But you're not gonna get many more roads done through that because everything's cost more.
Buys less, right?
So you're basically just keeping your head above water.
Yep.
In the schedule, yeah, for sure. It's like I said before we went live, I wouldn't want your job, because I wouldn't want to try to have to be the person figuring out where are we gonna do this, where are we gonna do that, who's gonna do what, and when, and all of that stuff. That's just, yeah. And even the bidding process, you know,
Right.
even the putting it out to all the contractors, and it's got to be tough for them. I can't imagine fighting for that job. You want that big job, but fighting for that job, and how low can you go, kind of thing, and then quality versus the money, and it's a whole lot to figure out.
It certainly is an interesting system where you want the highest quality for the lowest bid, right? It's,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's an interesting dynamic that we operate in.
Do you have a favorite project that's happening this summer that you've been dealing with?
Not so much that I've been dealing with, but obviously I come from, I worked in the bridge design section, so
My dad did too.
unfortunately I know less about pavements than I do bridges. So,
Uh-huh.
so I'm fascinated by the big bridges, and the North York Grand Isle, the drawbridge that we completed a couple of seasons ago. That was a pretty cool project, and then the Reedsboro Town Highway Bridge that I mentioned is a huge structure.
And wasn't there one just the last couple of years, just north of Bolton Flats?
Yep, over the interstate.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was quite a big project.
It was, and it's very similar to the Middlesex one that we did
Yeah.
a few years
Yeah.
prior to that.
Yeah.
It's almost a very similar configuration. It's sort of a curved girder over the interstate. Those are fun projects.
Yeah.
They're fun to complete, and yeah.
And the one in the Royalton, Bethel area, that was a pretty big project as well.
Correct. That's still going. That's got 2 more seasons probably. Because now they're doing the other bridge.
The other side.
Yep.
Yep.
So there's some There's some big ones out there, like I said, you know, in the
And the gorge is,
15
I read
or
this
30.
morning, almost at completion, so that'll open up, like you said, that'll be good.
Yep.
Get that open.
Yep, that's a cool bridge. I'm not sure if you guys have
I've
been
seen
down
it.
there and looked over.
I have.
that
I love
bridge.
to go to the snack bar at the gorge.
Yep,
So I've been down there.
yep.
Yeah.
It's a unique structure and it's definitely an attraction for the state of Vermont, so it'll be nice when we're out of the way.
When you all were working on it and you couldn't really get near it to see what was going on, I actually flew in a hot air balloon over it. So we got a really good view of what was going on there, and it was kind of scary.
It's a long way to
That
stay.
was not a job for the faint of heart. Not one I would have wanted to do anyway. My gosh, yeah.
I've been down. They of course it's all tented underneath because they're repainting the steel and everything. So I was down in the structure, and it's a pretty neat structure.
Yeah.
No, did they still put all of the caging along the side and stuff? Is all of that going back up? And
For the construction for the painting, we had the full containment.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably still there.
but they had like I guess they call it suicide caging. Is
Yeah,
is that all going back on the bridge? And
Yep, that's already that's back up.
that's there.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's a higher fence that kind of curves in and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's a really cool bridge.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So people should check it out.
Sure.
And
Agreed.
the snack bar. If you're down there, check
Okay.
out the snack bar at the gorge. If you've never been, it's amazing.
Okay.
They get fresh
Try that.
seafood literally somebody goes to Maine every morning, gets fresh seafood and brings it back. And they have all kinds of other great things that they cook over there.
Wow.
So you should check it
I
out.
will.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else to ask you. I mean, there's not a lot going on as far as right here in central Vermont, other than what you told. We have the road construction report that comes out every single week. So if people pay attention to that, they'll know what's going on, where detours are, where even rolling roadblocks are, all of that stuff.
Correct.
And then the safety stuff, like you said, it's Awareness Month. So pay attention.
Correct. Really
And-
appreciate it. Yeah,
Do you
So
do
you
you
drive
have
in from
trainings?
Lowell every day?
I do.
Oh gosh.
That's home.
Yeah.
I commuted to school one year. One of the years I was at UVM. I commuted to UVM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just life, I guess.
A little haul.
Yeah.
But you were willing to come down here and talk to us, so we greatly appreciate that. And I know others too do too. I mean, even if they don't like the information, it's still information that
Sure.
they didn't have before, and it's just good to know.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to come down.
It's so thank you. I appreciate it very much.
I've been up a couple of times. My older son lives up in Hyde Park,
Okay.
and I go up have lunch with him once in a while. We go over to Cajuns.
Oh, I was going to ask you because we're talking about snack bars.
Cajuns is
Yeah.
great.
That's if you're ever up that way.
I've heard about it. I've
We'll
heard
go.
about it.
We'll
I
take
have
a
not
ride.
been,
We'll go
but
up, pick Justin up.
Lexi and her husband go. They love to go.
It's a great place.
Yeah, Lexi and Devin go there to eat, and they've talked about it many times. So they say it's a little off the beaten path, but well worth it.
It's not that bad.
It's right on Route 100, but that's off the beaten path from
Yeah.
here for sure.
Right, right.
And
If you're
sit
going.
outside there, and you can see the windmills.
Well,
up
next
on
time
the
we
top.
go to Albany or something,
Yeah.
we'll head over that way.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for joining us. And if there's any updates or anything that you could ever share with us, or something changes, and even if you could just shoot me an email or a text or something and say, hey, make sure you're paying attention this week to the traffic report or whatever, because this has happened or that's happening, that would be great. And maybe we can talk to you again at the end of the season and see how you all fared, and what you were able to get done, and what's going to be maybe kick down the road a little bit.
Okay.
And, because it happens.
Sure.
We have no idea what Mother Nature is going to bring us this summer. And so you all will just be out there doing the best you can. And we all have a job to do. And so, and you do it. That's what you do. And things happen. Shit happens. People calling sick to work, it rains, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, restaurants close, roads don't get paved. Same thing.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in, Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, okay, guys, checking out until next week. We'll see you on Tuesday. Hopefully, barring no troubles this week. Spectrum had a huge outage. We didn't have, not only was there no internet here, there wasn't any internet in a lot of Barrie. We
Yeah.
didn't have it at home or anywhere. So that was a huge outage, and we were not able to join you on Tuesday, but hopefully next weekend we'll not run into that problem. Let's see, tomorrow night at the Den, So You Think You Can Sing competition resumes. There's going to be some more eliminations. That starts at 8 p.m. But the doors open at 2. Go in, have some late lunch, have an afternoon snack, cold beer, and then maybe some dinner. Jim Breer. He'll be there playing through lunch.
Yeah. Good.
Check it out. So we will see you next week, and check out the schedule of events this weekend. Lots of great things happening. Get out, enjoy the sunshine, because it's going to be sunny and maybe even a little warmer.